Well, hey, here we are back on the channel, being serenaded by a bird. I love that part, especially today. This is a difficult message in a way. It's about terrible gifts. In fact, that might be in the title. I had this information. I don't remember where I found it. It's been a few years ago, and I'm sure it's probably still very much the same. The title had something to do with like the 5 worst gifts that you could receive. It was probably around the holidays that I saw that list, and there was one in particular that really spoke to me, and that's going to be the emphasis of this message. So, what was that gift that really jumped out to me? I'm not going to tell my life story on here. We don't have that kind of time. But if you knew my life story, you'd know why this one really jumped out, but it's much broader than that, and that was the gift of scales. If I could have had one here that was easy to handle, I would have had it here for the video, but you know what I mean. What if you gave someone, what if we all chose somebody in our lives to give the gift of, let's just say, bathroom scales? How do you think that'd go over? What do you think someone would think if your gift to them was a set of bathroom scales? What would you think if someone gave them to you? Now, if you follow this channel much at all, you would know that I'm making these videos for the future for my grandchildren. I only have one. He's very small, just over 2 months old. My grandchildren may never know me. So these are little lessons I would want to teach them. What would you do? What would I want my grandchildren to do if someone gave them bathroom scales? But it's not just bathroom scales, and we know it. What do we do when someone hands us scales, a way to measure ourselves? Now, in all fairness, this can be good and bad. This can be something that's troubling to us, or it can be something that challenges us in a good way. I want to be clear about that. I've had both, and I bet you have too. I've had times when people handed me a scale and said, "Don't you see you're not measuring up?" Have you had those? But I've also had people challenge me by not necessarily giving me a scale, but maybe showing me or a picture of myself, or knowing that I was capable of more. That's different. That's a mentor. That's a coach. That's what I try to do for those 40 to 50 young men every year on that college baseball team that I mentor. But not just them. I had a conversation just yesterday with a young man that I had sent a card to. He's got a lot going on, and I challenged him in good ways, I hope. That's what I tried to do. Well, he gave me a hug, so I think he took it right. What do we do with the scales that people give us? You know, the kind that say, you know, your hair's getting a little gray. Maybe you should try to color it. You know, you've gotten a little out of shape. Maybe you ought to start an exercise program. Now that can be said in a way that's not loving and in a way that is loving. That could be both. Depends on how it's said. Depends on who says it. What do we do with those? What do we do with the ones from our past? Now, maybe you had someone in your past that wasn't so loving, and you still hear their voice in your head, maybe daily, handing you a set of scales, saying you're never going to measure up. Do you listen to those every day? I have. But the other side of that coin is, what do we offer other people? What kind of scales do we hand out? Do we hand them out at all? I personally don't really want to hand out scales I want to do the other one. I want people to be able to see who they can be. I want to give them hope. This next phase of my life, in fact, this channel, the regularity of these is part of that. I want to offer hope. Whatever time I have left on this life, in this life, that's what I want to do. That's my scale. What's yours? I don't do this often here. I'm going to start a completely different either channel or a way of doing this. But for those of you that know me, I have a radio ministry, and in that I kept the devotions, and this was kind of one of them. But this was the scripture that went with it, with scales. I went all the way back to Genesis after Adam and Eve had eaten the forbidden fruit of the tree of good and evil, of the knowledge of good and evil. You see, they hid from God. Why? They told him they were naked. God's response to them? Who told you that? Who told you that? So whatever you may be dealing with when it comes to scales, when someone told you your hair's too gray, who told you that? What were their intentions? Did they really want what's best for you, or were they fulfilling some other need in their own life? Do you have a base to say, who told you that? I do. I certainly hope my grandchildren do. There won't be a choice I can make for them, but I hope they do. And I hope you do too. I hope you have a grounding. I hope you have a faith. I hope Jesus is a part of your life, I guess is the best way to say it. Because we're going to either choose to hand out scales or not. We're going to choose how we react when someone hands us a set of scales and says, hey, here's a way to measure yourself. We're going to have a way to measure that ourselves. I wish I could say I had never handed out a set of scales, but I'm sure I have. But I can change that today, and so can you. So today, for this message, I hope that you take a long look, that you open the closet door, you know, the one that we don't open very often, the one inside us, that part of our soul that we don't want to deal with it a lot. We don't want to stir it up. I hope that you gently open that door today with God's guidance. I hope you open it and take a look and see how many sets of scales are in there. Take a close look and remember, I bet you'll know exactly who gave them to you. And decide whether you should even keep them or not. Was that a fair scale? Because I know I went through a time in my life when I did that. And I threw out a lot of scales. Some of them left a scar. I'll have to deal with that still. Take a look at that closet. Take a look at those scales. Because if Jesus were sitting beside me today, and in a way he is, he's with me. If he were right here behind me with his hand on my shoulder, would I keep the scales if he said, who told you that? And so I realize this is a deep lesson for my grandchildren, but maybe one day they'll be old enough to understand. And maybe you and I, in the meantime, we can do our part to help others to make their paths a little straighter, make their world a little better, a little brighter, give them some hope. That's what this channel is for. Some encouragement and some hope. So throw out some scales. if their intentions were wrong, throw out the scales. Makes your load a lot lighter. So, till next time, this is Todd. See ya.